And welcome and good evening, everybody. This is the Whole Agenda Radio Show, and I'm your host, Robert Pino, and it is Friday, the 13th, folks. Now, I know a lot of you are sitting out there going, oh, Friday the 13th, beware of the very spooky paranormal things. Actually, the number 13 is a very special, specific number, and it is a sacred number. But we will get into that in just a moment. Of course, I have your Tuesday night host, Paul Landers. Paul, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone.
Wonderful to have you with us, Paul. And we have a very special guest this evening, the Ms. Solaris BlueRaven. Now, Solaris BlueRaven is a systems buster for MK Ultra related projects. She is a public speaker on Ascension and a published author. She has a professional background in surveillance. Ms. BlueRaven is a genuine multi-dimensional channel, a multi-universal translator, RVMT, healer, clairvoyant, clairsentient being, and a Wiccan HPS. Now, I'm not sure what HPS stands for, and Solaris, welcome to the program. And what does HPS stand for?
High Priestess.
Okay, High Priestess.
Generator.
I am just not good with all the acronyms.
Oh, that's fine. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you.
Oh, it is absolutely a pleasure to be here, and I know you've been on Paul's Tuesday night show several times, and it is a pleasure to have you with both of us this evening, especially tonight, being Friday the 13th, so much skepticism towards that, and I don't even know how that was created, who created it, but rest assured it was somebody with an agenda. I'm absolutely sure about that.
Well, the Friday, you know what? It didn't even come about until the mid 18th or 19th century, so the 1850s.
Well, Paul, enlighten me, please.
Well, it was came from one of your probably ancestors, Rossini, and he died on Friday the 13th. So from there, it became unlucky because they always considered Friday a very unlucky day throughout history because of Jesus Christ dying.
Interesting.
So
now,
Friday,
but we don't know that for sure. This is simply going through
folklore.
Yeah.
Folklore. And I heard you say 13, considered a number, but in most places 13 is considered unlucky because 12 is the number of completion and a lot of numerology.
Yet
so
we are going through the 12th Baktun into the 13th cycle of the Mayan calendar. Interestingly enough.
So it's like, what is right? I meant with that. A lot of it stems from the fact of, with numerology, that 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles of Jesus, the 12 months of the year, or 12 hours on the clock, the zodiac.
So what you're saying was a lot of manipulation going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that once you have
I'm snickering with you, Solaris, because I absolutely believe absolute manipulation.
Totally. Yes, I agree too. I have to.
So it's so that's kind of the folklore behind it. But an interesting thing for this year is there are 3 Friday the 13th this year, and they're each 13 weeks apart.
Interesting.
So there's a little folklore about how it got started.
Well, what I wanted to bring up was the dire information that John Moore has come forward with on his broadcast. Now, John Moore's actually going to be with us next month, Friday, actually, which is not the 13th. It's actually going to be Friday the 10th. And I encourage everybody to listen in because he came with a very dire warning in regards to what is happening physically on the planet. And the reality is, basically, in a nutshell, what he says is that he has his inside information in regards to what is happening with the planet, and his inside sources basically said, look, this is in regards to Nibiru, Planet X, and there is definitely going to be massive upheaval, massive change on the planet, and it's going to be devastating. He was very somber when he was talking about this because, for the most part, all of his inside information that he's gotten till now has been very accurate and true, and this has probably been the most dire warning received through, his informant, which actually they don't even know they're an informant. That's how tight a lid he has kept on this whole situation. But Solaris, I want to jump into this. What is your perspective and your take on what is happening on the planet? And do you feel and believe that we are going through an ascension, but as this ascension is taking place, that the physical part of the planet is also shifting as well? Paul and I have both said this numerous times, and it's probably multidimensional or multi-level in the fact that the planet is getting ready to expand. It could be going through a pole shift. I happen to believe that Nibiru is coming through. That is why we have had these devastating effects on this planet. I don't know how far away it is, and this information has not been, forthcoming from any whistleblower, because I don't think they know. They just simply understand that the physical effects are taking place now.
Right. Well, I can tell you through the ascension process, as we all know, the vibration of the planet is speeding up. The frequency is shifting and altering to harmonize with the universal divine plan.
Solaris, can you just slow down and start over?
I'm so sorry.
Wow, I was like, hello?
That's my machine head. I'm really
okay.
sorry.
All right, slow down. Take your time. Relax.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, what we're dealing with, the electromagnetic field on the planet is basically breaking down. This planet is ascending, and through ascension, the planet's vibration speeds up to a very high frequency. It starts resonating with the universal harmonics, with the full light universe. So we are in alignment with the full light universal network, so to speak, which changes everything. It changes the octaves, it changes the geometrics of the planet. As this happens, everything starts to break down. Every linear design, every false program, false realities, everything we think we know as a reality is starting to just break down. And that includes programs we've been led to believe as children, or any kind of a program. We're seeing our governments fading away, actually, even though they're trying to, create an iron hand. Everything is dissolving right before our eyes through these vibrational light harmonics. So that is happening. And as this happens, we start to drop density as beings. Our DNA starts to alter. Everything starts to shift in consciousness. So that's the big shift that's happening right now. But as this happens, all this density, all this negative energy, all these programs from centuries beyond century is starting to filter in, and it has to go somewhere, and it has to be resolved. So that's why we're seeing these upheavals across the globe right now. We're seeing all this conflict and all this negativity. It's chaos in motion right now. It will subside, but yeah, we're going to have to ride some heavy waves.
Well, I mean, okay, I definitely understand that, but there's a duality here. There's the physical planet itself. Okay, and then there's the human aspect of this. Now, the human aspect of this, they're the ones creating the massive economic destruction that's taking place across the globe. The tyrannical, almost, oligarchy, heavy-handedness that they are, pushing down on all of humanity. Now, the planet is doing exactly what it's going to do because it's in a cyclical process. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, these people that, I want to call them entities, basically, because they're really tied into the false collectives and the false realities. The people that are trying to make the shots or call the shots on this planet, they really are terrified of people ascending in their consciousness and mind. They're terrified of not living without manipulation and control over others. They don't want to think of the idea of not having money or anymore, having, everything they have, they like that reality. Unfortunately, they've tried to tie everybody else into that reality when, in fact, it doesn't fit and it doesn't work. One thing I want to mention about time is an illusion. It's a benchmark to measure experimentation. If you work out of time, which I work out of time, I don't work in time at all. I work beyond the time concept. I work in consciousness. There is no time. And so when you get out of that rut, and you get out of that cycle of years and programs, you realize that there's a bigger spectrum out there. Just want to bring that up.
No, absolutely. And I was going to say I 100% agree with you, because time is something that was created and used for the manipulation of man. 100%.
Absolutely.
Well, there's no question about it, because I know when I meditate, there is no timeline. I mean, you know as well as I do, and Paul, you know this as well. When you go into a state of higher consciousness, there is no time frame. There is no set clock for any of that.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah, it's based on the perception of the observer, too. A lot of things people see in their psychic vision, sometimes it's based on their perception of reality. Also, you have to define each line through higher consciousness, through the oversoul, and that's where the clarity comes in. I know a lot of people see visions, and they think that that's what's going on, but sometimes they're getting a parallel bleed through. They're actually just seeing a lot of fragments of space beyond the illusion of time, and they're just seeing pictures. So what you have to do is kind of surf above all that and just kind of navigate on a very high level so that you can actually observe from afar and see really what's going on.
Yeah, I've noticed that very much with meditation. I refer to it as you go through the window, and as you're going through the window, you'll actually be able to not only feel but see these bleed-throughs coming through, and then once you reach a certain level, the bleed-through stops, and that's where the real truth lies.
Very true. Yeah. And a lot of that, parallel bleed-throughs, depending on what they're doing on the planet, if they're using any type of man-made manipulation, any type of psychotronic weapons or anything that they're doing to try to manipulate the outcome on this planet, that will create entities also, and that will bleed through certain timelines. And that's why people see a lot of different things that look like specters or things that they don't really recognize. I mean, the entities connect in through those false, defragmented timelines.
Well, do our brains operate on a multi-dimensional level? We're just not aware of it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, multi-universal, actually. I mean, we're very, very advanced beings. If people only knew what they could do with their minds, they would just be blown away. Yeah, completely.
So maybe that's why the extraterrestrials have told us that in a certain aspect we are gods they told us that we are gods, but we have, been created out of a slave species, so it's part of the manipulation, but now part of the higher understanding of things, I assume.
Yeah, the higher self is the Godhead. I mean, we are all, without sounding ego-oriented, it's ascended mastery. The higher self is an ascended master, if you like to look at it like that. It's a God. It's a God. End of story. Androgynous God. So you have to look at it from that perspective. What mankind has done was try to skew that into more of the ego. So you're seeing a lot of ego-driven false gods trying to run the planet right now. But we are all celestial beings. I've said this before, that our DNA is in harmonics with our ancestry, which is not from this planet. And if people would start to tap into that, which I know they are through the Ascension process, they would realize that celestial brotherhood is our family. And that's the real family that's kind of summoning us home on a higher level. And that's what also, it's creating the conflict with these linear wars on the planet with false governments and institutions and things like that.
Very interesting. There's another thing I want to ask you. Now, we tend to look at things very linearly because we are grounded to planet Earth. It's very hard to escape the man-made timeline that has been established here on the planet. If we look at it in that sense, Solaris, everything, just when I'm just talking about this timeline that we're looking at, does everything exist? Does everything coexist simultaneously?
Yes, it does. Basically, what you put out on this planet affects other dimensions and frequencies. That's why it's very important to keep your reality clear. It's very important to be connected to your higher self. Otherwise, you create warps and distortions. One quick thing I just wanted to bring up about the MK Ultra stuff, that's their forte is psychotronics, where they try to warp those spectrums, just so people would understand that they're trying to ruin the mind and what the mind perceives on a higher level of consciousness.
All right, well, I definitely want to get into that in the next segment. But the Ultra, the MK Ultra stuff just goes so deep, so black, and it has ruined so many lives. But the reality of the manipulation that takes place with the MK Ultra is that with the destruction of the mind, also, like you said, creates multiple timelines, and it creates different dimensional, I guess, realities for other entities to come in. As these entities come in, are they malevolent or benevolent, or are they? What is the attraction for them, and how do they? I guess how does that affect them?
Well, it's a life force thing. They feed off of the life force. The one thing that we have to realize is that we're energy. We're consciousness in motion, even in our physical bodies. So that's one thing they draw on. They can be positive or negative. It depends on the consciousness of the being who is attracting it. Sometimes if we're very evolved at the soul level, we can bring in a different... I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we were getting ready to go to break. Tell me we're going to break. This is Paul Landers with Robert Pepino and special guest Solaris BlueRaven. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay tuned.
If you missed Pat and Linda Gorman's 2012 Wake Up America Wealth Protection Conference, then now's your chance to own this incredible conference on 12 one-hour CDs. You'll receive 12 hours of audio from the most knowledgeable economic experts in the country who for years have been helping people protect and grow their wealth in these uncertain economic times. You'll hear speakers like Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster, St. Clair Noll, talk show host of the Financial Review, Jim Lills, a 30-year veteran commodities broker, Dr. Janice Dorn, Ph.D., market philosopher, and many, many more. Now's your chance to listen at your convenience in the privacy of your home, the most powerful information you'll need to help protect you from this economic crisis and even grow your wealth. So call 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Again, those numbers are 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Order your copy of the 2012 Wake Up America Conference today and start protecting your wealth.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Paul Landers, the Whole Agenda Radio Show, your Tuesday night host. Also joining me is Robert Pepino, your regular host of the show, and we have a very special guest, Miss Solaris BlueRaven. She's a system buster for MK Ultra-related project, and also a Wiccan high priestess. And we were just discussing Ascension, both planetary and personal and physical ascension, and how it is being stopped because of certain entities, certain factions, and also the MK Ultra project has got a great hand in doing that. Go ahead, Solaris.
Oh, okay. One is we were talking about the positive and negative. Basically, these entities feed off of the life force of the host, so to speak. So you have they can be a positive or a negative depending on the psyche of the individual. A lot of the time we can ride those energies out and actually through our ascended mastery shift the vibration of whatever's attached onto us by letting it go with more of a love consciousness oriented design. I know through MK Ultra related programs that it's very hard to do because that's man-made and it's driven by machine based telepathy and things that are not really an entity but mask themselves as such. So that's a little more challenging. But insofar as that goes with the entities, they are mutable. I mean, they do shift, and they do want to ascend. I mean, a lot of these fragments of energy and consciousness want to keep moving and ascending. Nothing wants to stay stuck in limitation. So that's another thing people need to keep in mind, that everything wants to move. We all want to keep ascending on a higher level of consciousness. We're designed to do so, and the planet is as well.
I've always felt also that, a lot of these entities, let's say their food source is the fear vibration.
Mm-hmm,
so
very true.
They try and create as much fear on this planet as they can so the human race projects this and they've got a food supply.
I never noticed it.
Oh, really? Tongue in cheek. Fear is the mind killer. I quote Dune. I don't know if you remember that, but it's very true. Fear is the mind killer. I mean, when people are consumed by fear, they lose their focus. They get controlled and manipulated even worse. And they draw and they attract things that are not in alignment with their spiritual beliefs.
Solaris, there's a big difference between fear and being prepared for what to expect. Absolutely.
Oh, true, yeah.
And I think a lot of the people who listen to this broadcast and many others like this understand now absolutely that, fear is way beyond them, and it's simply being prepared for what to expect, because the reality is what is happening physically on the planet and what is happening mentally to us, that fear-driven based system that's pushed down our throats every single day is simply you look at it and you just put it to the wayside and you say, okay, well, I realize how the manipulation all takes place, and now I'm simply preparing for what they have created for simply the people who are still living in that fear-based process.
Correct. Very correct. Yeah. And if you look at fear in terminology as a program, a lot of people like to attach their emotional bodies onto the concept of fear. But if you just look at it as a program, like you were saying, just treat it like a program that's running a faulty program. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. And just shift it. Just move it out. You know, it's not true for you or the universe. And that's why I like to tell people, just keep that focus of what is truth-based and what is not.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree with you. It's Solaris, this is a question I wanted to ask you, and I just thought about why Paul was asking the question to you. When we are in our, when we are sleeping and we are in our REM state, and of course that REM state simply means that we are having the out-of-body experience, where our higher conscious soul, mind, spirit is, basically traversing wherever we want to go. Are we experiencing that same multidimensional level, and are we having to deal with those entities out there, and of course benevolent and non-benevolent, and how do we enable ourselves to come back into this body if we are being attacked?
Right. You'll always be protected by your higher self and oversoul, whatever you want to call that form of consciousness that's linked to infinite consciousness. So even when you think you can't get back into your body, you are by divine will allowed to do that. Unless you've made some sort of a contract with another entity where it's a soul rotation or something, you are definitely allowed back in your vehicle.
Hold on. What is a soul rotation? I've never heard this.
Okay, soul rotation is a contract you've made with another multidimensional being, sometimes an ascended master consciousness energy, that literally you make an agreement with before. Some people say they have a car accident, they're ready to expire. They've made a contract for this being, this embodiment, to connect in and descend into the physical body. And when that happens, it's a completely different personality. It's a different memory bank. It's not MK Ultra. This is a real divine being, or it's a different timeline being that has agreed to connect in and help fulfill the mission of the other host that was occupying the body.
That's interesting, because I've known, when I'm not known myself personally, but I've known of cases where people will go through a horrific accident and then can be a completely different person when they come out of that coma or whatever they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be what is considered a walk-in?
Yes, very similar, and also same thing with the agreements. Yeah, very similar.
Okay.
Wow, that's I never thought about it that way. I was simply thinking that because our higher conscious mind it has to be attached to the physical mind that we use in this body, but I never thought about it that way. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's also dimensional. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. It was just something I want to ask you. You said they made back to the car wreck, that they made an agreement.
Right. They usually make an agreement. Right. In a divine blueprint, before you enter onto this planet, there's a divine blueprint that has nothing to do with mankind. It's a blueprint that you've created with the Creator, infinite consciousness, and also the beings, your soul group, your spiritual groups, the families, the celestial families you've been evolving with throughout, eons. So that's the connection that takes place, and the contract. When they descend onto this planet, there's an agreement. So they can honor that, or they can, by the law of grace, dissolve that contract. But sometimes, and a lot of the times, that happens where there is the soul rotation, and they agree to connect in and help. And also, I want to say there's a very, when you go into these spaces where you go through the near-death experience, there is always a celestial, what I call, people call them angels, but they're really advanced celestials, extraterrestrial types, very high-frequency beings that are always there to protect you. You're always protected through those dark times, even if it feels evil. So that's one thing I really want to make clear to people, that you're always protected. It's just that it may not feel that way because you're surfing and navigating through many dark places.
All right. Well, Solaris, this is a question I want to ask you then, because there have been multiple people who said, they have gone through near-death experiences where they have seen no light, and we're in a very dark, evil place. And one of these people, I remember, I forgot the documentary, but I think it was on the History Channel, and he simply said that, he accepted God in his life at that very moment, and when he did do that, these evil entities who were just basically clawing him and ripping apart simply just washed away, and he was brought into the light of, God. And God is just a generic term for the pure energy that is everything that we know.
Correct. I call it infinite consciousness. Yeah, it's exactly that. And you're correct about that. I did hear that story that gentleman that went through that, a lot of that is based on the realities they created before they were getting ready to transfer out. So he might have had some belief systems that were in his electromagnetic field, his lower astral body, that actually took a life of their own as he was in the other world. And that could have been some of the things he was witnessing. But at the same time, as soon as you let go and you say, start owning the higher self and bringing the higher self, which is the Christed, cosmic Christ energy, it's the celestial energy, yeah, everything gets protected and shielded from all these disembodied entities.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's absolutely incredible information, Solaris.
So,
mind-blowing.
So this agreement is, so let's say a person is, they're not, let's say they have a car wreck, and so it really wasn't an accident. They chose to leave at this present time, and then had the agreement with the higher being to come in?
Correct, yes. There are no coincidences in life, even though people would like to think that.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
No coincidence.
Yeah, even if it seems really tragic. I mean, even my situation with MK Ultra, I never saw that coming down the pike, and I'm very psychic. And I can tell you I never saw it coming, ever. So I have to tell you that there's always a divine plan behind all of it. I just didn't see it at the time. It's the same thing with people who are transferring out. You know, there's always a connection going on. And we are multi-universal. We're multidimensional. We're also connected into other species, other races through higher consciousness. So we can draw on this wisdom. Yeah, absolutely. And even with the animal kingdom. So.
Absolutely, because my channeled extraterrestrial entities have told me we are all one, over and over and over. They've said it. Mm-hmm. We are all one. There's no separation. There is no difference. You are just choosing to live a blink, you know, a blink of an eye here in this physical body to learn one or two or three or how many of your certain experiences you were meant to learn till you move on to the next level of higher consciousness.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a dimensional state of awareness. It's very true. A lot of us are here as teachers and also as anchorers of light on this planet. We came down here to anchor the light. We're running the light. We're running light from multiverses onto this world. Even though it's very uncomfortable for a lot of us, we're still doing it.
Now, Solaris, what about all these evil entities here who are, you know, who obviously their purpose, and there is absolutely no chance for this to not happen, because, you know, I absolutely believe, like you said, that everything happens for a reason. Why are they here to go through this process? I mean, are they in the learning process as well, to learn benevolence, love, caring, wisdom from being such a lower level of consciousness?
Right. Well, I can tell you that their evolution is based on their own teachings. Okay, mankind is a reflection of his belief systems. He's a reflection of the history of his life and what has been brought forward through their own education. And so if there are flaws and there are holes in this fabric, because they've been misled and through their own psyches.
So Solaris, hold it right there because we're coming up on a break. So everybody stick with us. This is the Whole Agenda Radio Show. Our very special guest, Miss Solaris BlueRaven, and your Tuesday night guest, our host, Paul Landers. We'll be right back after this break.
Pat and Linda Gorman, owners of Resource Consultants, Inc. and Buy Silver Now website, have been selling gold and silver and precious metal-related assets since 1996. They have built their reputation on their most valued assets, integrity and honesty. While other precious metal dealers are just out to make a quick buck, Pat and Linda have prided themselves on the relationship they have developed with their customers. In other words, they have met their clients' expectations and much, much more. And that's why their business continues to grow as this economic crisis deepens. If there were ever a time to spare your family from this monetary decline, now's the time to do it. So, save your family's wealth and go to www.buysilvernow.com and call 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Again, those numbers are 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149, and protect, save, and grow your wealth in these hard economic times.
Hi folks, Ronnie McMullen here for Life Change Tea. It's officially the new year, and the New Year resolutions should be going into effect. In the order of importance, health should be at the top of the list. We invest in how we look, and we invest in what we drive. And so why not invest in who you are and how you feel? Insecurity can manifest from a poor self-image. Life Change Tea is here to help. Cleanse your body, receive more energy, and start promoting your body to a new you. Physical health promotes mental health. Read the numerous testimonies on our helpful website. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to order? Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us, 928-308-0408. Here it is again, 928-308-0408. There's no waiting. Call now. It's your life. Give yourself something special. Good health. Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
It's hard to imagine when things are going reasonably well, just how quickly things can change. But what would it take? Economic collapse? Massive crop failure? Chemical or biological attack? So many situations could find you in the grocery looking to pick up food for your family only to find that the shelves are empty. There's nothing. Don't let that happen. Act today to make sure that if it ever comes to that, you and your family will be provided for. Visit freezedryguy.com to look at the wide variety of survival foods available. Freeze-dried foods from the Freeze Dry Guy store longer, rehydrate faster, are nutritionally superior to, and taste better than any other long-term storage food available. Visit freezedryguy.com or call toll-free 866-404-3663. freezedryguy.com.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Whole Agenda Radio Show. And I'm your host, Robert Pino, your Tuesday night host. With us this evening, Friday, Paul Landris, and our very special guest, Miss Solaris BlueRaven. Now, if you're just joining us right now, we've been having quite an incredible conversation in regards to the multidimensional levels on which we truly live on, but we are so timelined into this existence with our current understanding that it's very difficult for a lot of people to grasp the idea that we coexist on multidimensional levels. We interact with it on a daily basis, and especially in our stages of sleep, in the evening when we go out to the etheric reality, the real reality of where we truly live and belong. But we are tied to this, this vessel, this flesh and blood vessel, and we have such a hard time understanding the reality of it. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, Solaris, is about reincarnation. And I know reincarnation happens constantly over and over and over, and this is not just on this planet. This is multidimensional, and I've seen so many cases of it. I mean, I've always believed it. But, for the people who don't understand how that works, could you just, expound on that a little bit to let them understand the multidimensional reality of how everything coexists within the physical and the non-physical?
Okay. With reincarnation, yeah, we all, even if we don't have memory of the lifetime, we've all existed in other worlds, other universes, on other timelines, and have been rebirthed and reborn onto these timelines and into these other areas and planets. With reincarnation, you may not even remember a lot of your experiences. You might carry some trauma at the cellular level, at the core level, but the soul does choose to cycle into a certain, we were talking about the divine ascension blueprint or the divine blueprint. It will create a blueprint in which it can navigate and learn and evolve from, and that's created before it descends onto the planet, whatever planet that is. It will descend onto the planet and it will cycle through these progressions until it evolves at a very high level of consciousness. And it's a cycle of progression of learning. A lot of times it's learning, teaching, but it all goes back to the soul as a lesson. So with reincarnation, if they don't get to complete something, say somebody's life was taken too soon, then they have the option to come back to this world or another world and fulfill whatever it is they want to fulfill. The universe honors the free will of any being, And if you decide you want to reincarnate elsewhere or another planet or on this one, yes, you're absolutely able to do that. And everyone, I can't imagine anybody not having quite a few lifetimes on and off world.
I would say hundreds of lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
As old as far as our knowledge is on this timeline. It's so hard to sit here. There's so much to say. On this timeline where we exist, what we understand, so on and so forth, the reality is that the universe is infinite. You cannot put a timeline on it, and that's what humanity tries to do over and over and over. But it's unrealistic. It's absolutely unrealistic.
Yeah, they try to control and manipulate through consciousness. It's really funny, though, because we always archive the data into the full light universe. We have these archives of which we can access at any point in time.
The Akashic records, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's also the universal archives, which are the old Akashic records have broken down. They've been reconstructed because a lot of the original Akashic records have been implemented by man's belief system. So what happened was those fell away. Those dissolved eons ago. I don't know if many people realize that or not, but we have a whole new holographic field with new archives that are based on celestial heritage, and that's where beings like us show up, and we start bringing in the new, which is actually the real data, opposed to, the man-made programs.
Well, Solaris, all the people who are awake now, do you think we're all ascended beings who are very old souls and are simply here to bring the next change forward for the betterment of humanity?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a reminder. Anytime you see someone who's ascended or awake, it's a reminder to your own divinity. It's a mirror for you to wake up and start moving your energy to a higher level of consciousness. And we do that. We're here as witnesses, sacred witnesses to this design.
And everything's being recorded simultaneously as we go through our every individual action on moment-by-moment basis, correct?
Mm-hmm, absolutely, yeah. Everything through light harmonic. The one thing, it's really interesting when you mentioned the recordings, through radio signals, we talk about the Mach radio signals versus man-made, or man-made is a Mach radio signal versus the universal signals, and that's really what we want to pay attention to, are the universal light harmonic signatures that are the true archives of data and actually record our true divinity the correct way.
Wow, that's incredible. Someone that I follow, and I think is a very intelligent man, he says that the universe is basically in a stasis of destruction and reconstruction every 22 trillion times a second. I have a hard time relating to that because it's instantaneous, it's an incomprehensible number, 22 trillion times per second, destruction and recreation. Is that process maybe of the constant state of flux and change that we exist in?
I would say that can be an anomaly warp. I mean, that can be one part of it. But in truth, the full light universe is very complete. There's no fabric that's torn or, questionable. I mean, everything is secure in light consciousness. I mean, you're dealing with the perception of people, once again, in their teaching. So you have to ask whoever this person is, what is their teaching? Is it based on their perception?
It's based on the Middle Eastern philosophy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, intuitively speaking, I don't resonate with that. It doesn't mean that there aren't areas of chaos, but I do know full light harmonic in consciousness. The multiverse is very solid. It's very, very solid, and this planet is. And I've mentioned this in my book, this planet speaks a machine language and a sacred geometric language to other planets. I mean, we talk to each other on telephones and things, but this planet is always in communication with other planets, and we don't even realize it. I mean, just to give you an idea insofar as how advanced and how beyond the illusion of the false spectrum our true reality is.
Wow. And it's sometimes, I mean, I listen to you speak, and it's, for most, for myself, I think, I look at it as a very comprehensible thing where you have to wrap your mind around the idea that everything is multidimensional and everything is one at this moment simultaneously. Now, if you look at a distant star that's 100,000 light years from here, how could you say to yourself, well, I'm here, it is there, and we coexist simultaneously? But the reality is, if you're seeing the light and it's seeing you coexist simultaneously, but that's that linear, it is that the linear view that we've all been told that is so real that it is unachievable, when the reality is that the fastest, I guess the fastest way or thought the fastest way to come or be anywhere is through thought, because instantaneously through thought we're there.
Absolutely, yes, through consciousness. Yeah, consciousness in motion. That's why you've heard of distant healing work, and it's very successful because it's through the mind. I mean, I've done distant healing work on people across the globe in the past, and they felt it. I mean, and it was instantaneous. There's none of this. We all know that energy and consciousness works. I know a lot of people, they decide on what's in the universe by what they perceive and what they've been taught to perceive instead of the truth behind, the energy behind all of that fabric. And they'd have no clue. I mean, a lot of these people who are doing these big lectures about what's in our universe really don't understand the language of that universe.
Well, they don't grasp the larger reality. They're looking at it through a linear event. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
And this is the this is the faulty, preset error 101. Go back to the beginning. As human beings, this is what we are taught to experience and understand, and it's just false reality.
Absolutely, yeah. You literally have to retrain your mind to resonate with higher harmonics and frequencies. You have to let go of all this false programming and false realities.
Well, Solaris, are there certain harmonics that we can attune to let's say for people who are not I don't want to say highly evolved, but people who are not in tune to the higher understanding of the multiverse? Are there certain harmonics? Are there some? Is there something that we can do or listen to that can transcend people to go into that higher state?
It's usually intent. It's the intent of the mind. You don't really have to tone. I mean, toning does raise your vibration. You can literally ask spirit to raise your vibration, but it's the intent behind it. It's the intent behind just focusing on the universe itself, and then asking spirit to raise your vibration to resonate with that frequency. I mean, little things like that, simple things that you can do to start working with your mind to shift your consciousness and your reality. I mean, it may sound very small, but in fact, it's very profound.
Well, there's intent, there's belief.
Right, and intent, yes. Belief systems, I have a knowing. I've outgrown the belief systems. I don't have to believe anymore. I already know. And I think a lot of people are still trying to believe right now, so that's one of the problems. But once they get that clarity through their higher self and oversoul, they realize that there's a knowing, there's like laser beam knowing, that just tells you, it directs you. I mean, I don't have to feel the energy of the universe to know what's there. I just know. It's like a map you can see without eyes. It's the only way I can describe it.
It's interesting. It's like closing your eyes and seeing it, and there it is. And it wouldn't matter if you had your eyes open or closed. It already exists because you've gone beyond the beliefs you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, that's quite incredible, and I'm sure a lot of people have a very difficult time understanding that. But I guess the reality is that once you put the belief aside and know, that all becomes second.
Very true.
Yeah, because if everything exists simultaneously in the universe, which I have to believe 100%, then we can instantly be wherever we want to be. Now, that doesn't obfuscate us from the existence that we have to live in this physical form, because of the transformation that we have to that we have to ascend to the next level of understanding. So it doesn't matter, I guess, if we're here in this human body or we're on whatever planet, and whatever entity that is inhabit, or the conscious soul spirit mind that is entered or inhabiting that other body has to go through the same exact process. So in the sense we are all one, yet we all have to live those individual purposes to get back to higher consciousness of what I guess God creation is?
Yeah, absolutely. I call it the full light universe, but that's exactly it. And what we see here, I mean, are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was just coughing. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Anyways, I'm saying, the energy, I mean, it's all about energy and consciousness. Even if you think you're in a reality, the one we're supposedly existing in now, I mean, it's a false reality. It's what I call a false reality because it's not based on truth. I mean, we're here, yes, we're being counted, and we're sacred witnesses to a design, but this design is a false collective and a false reality. So you keep your perspective in tune with the higher self and the oversoul, connecting into the full light spectrum of higher consciousness instead of the illusions. You can be aware of this reality, so to speak, but, understand that it's a false reality and it has no bearing in the universe. It's really funny because mankind and his man-made religions, and I'm not bashing religion, But I'll tell you point blank, spirituality is where it's at. Religion has been a tool to control and manipulate. If you go beyond that
100%.
design and you go into spiritual awareness and higher consciousness, it's a different spectrum of energy. As a matter of fact, the universe doesn't recognize man's religion, and I hate to tell them that, but it doesn't get it. It knows the heart and higher consciousness. That's what it resonates with.
Solaris, I got that a long time ago when I was a little boy. I understood that, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just the ridiculous notion of any of that is just beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to go to break. This is Paul Landris, Robert Pepino, and Miss Solaris BlueRaven. We'll be right back. Stay tuned after this short break.
If you missed Pat and Linda Gorman's 2012 Wake Up America Wealth Protection Conference, then now's your chance to own this incredible conference on 12 one-hour CDs. You'll receive 12 hours of audio from the most knowledgeable economic experts in the country who for years have been helping people protect and grow their wealth in these uncertain economic times. You'll hear speakers like Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster, St. Clair Knoll, talk show host of the Financial Review, Jim Lills, a 30-year veteran commodities broker, Dr. Janice Dorn, Ph.D., market philosopher, and many, many more. Now's your chance to listen at your convenience in the privacy of your home, the most powerful information you'll need to help protect you from this economic crisis and even grow your wealth. So call 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Again, those numbers are 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Order your copy of the 2012 Wake Up America Conference today and start protecting your wealth.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Paul Landers, the Whole Agenda Radio Show, Tuesday night host with regular host Robert Pepino and our very special guest, Miss Solaris BlueRaven. Excuse me. We were just discussing spirituality and religion and why spirituality is much better.
Agreed.
Well, yeah, I think you can't. I think the soul, personally, is nothing but a spiritual source coming from this light source, like you say, Solaris. We've just simply been misled living on a third-dimensional plane. I'm assuming we're on a third-dimensional plane. That the lower entity sources, or the lower light source, simply has been able to manipulate the overall view of how our conscious mind and our overall superconscious mind develops on this planet, and simply that we are ascending regardless, no matter what they do, and this is why we are going through because they have no tactical source, I guess tactical, I don't know if that's the right word, but they have no other resources left in order to maintain the system of manipulation over the rest of humanity. So this is why we are coming to the end of this process. All the meanwhile, the duality of that is why we are going through also the physical changes on the planet, because I believe in all of the universe, multi universes, everything is in a state of growth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. It's all ascending simultaneously. It's a set, just like the planet is a set with other planets and other star systems. We're all connected we're all interconnected, so it's all ascending as one.
I absolutely agree. So I wanted to go back to the reincarnation thing real quick, Solaris. So if we are all on multiple levels, reincarnating on all different planets, living multiple different lives, when we come into this life source, this physical plane, why do we actually have to come into this physical plane? I mean, couldn't we learn in the higher source dimensional level all the lessons that we needed to learn, or is it specifically gauged or made that way to reinforce what we have to learn? I mean, it's very difficult to understand because you say to yourself, well, I'm in this body now, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up, understand what is going on. And then after understanding what is going on, you're like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. Why the hell am I here? I don't want to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we still chose to come back in. Was it specific, and it is a specific reason why our physical bodies have to exist, because it has to be, ingrained so deeply into us?
Well, that's part of it. It's also a DNA thing. The DNA is activating with each being on this planet. It's actually altering the codes and raising the vibratory rate to a point where we're actually mutating quite a bit. So the body, through true ascension process, I mean, you've heard this before, I'm sure, but they say you can take your body with you through full light ascension. I mean, that is very true. You can actually take this body to very high levels, high interdimensional, multi-universal levels of consciousness. And so far as your question goes with reincarnation, you can zero in on any timeline and decide where you want to incarnate. You do have free will, and it is honored. It's entirely up to the being. If they have a mission or a contract with the Earth and they want to assist in raising the vibration of the planet, or holding light, or teaching on this world, then they incarnate here as teachers.
But what I'm saying is, why not simply stay in the ethereal and learn the lessons there? Why would we have to reincarnate into a physical body?
Right. And my answer to you would be, you don't have to. You really don't. There's nothing trapping mankind but mankind. I mean, he's literally trapped by his own belief systems. If he believes he has to stay in this matrix, and that when he dies in the illusion of death, which is really an illusion, that he has to stay in one plane, then he's been programmed to believe that. And then that's what happens when people, they go into these limbos when they leave the planet in between spaces of life and death. They have to be lucid enough to understand where they are, so that they can ask themselves, their higher self, over soul, and actually move through consciousness. We can navigate anywhere. So you really don't need to be here in your own body if you don't want to. It is an option.
Okay, so is the learning, now I've heard this many, many times, that the learning process goes much quicker if you reincarnate into a physical body, in regards to actually, staying in the higher conscious light, the light mind or the light spirit, because the ascension process works so much faster.
Right. I've heard that also, and I can tell you, I believe that when people descend onto this earth, it's for a reason. It's like punching a hole through another dimension. We do it for a reason. We do it to help get people who are trapped through their own psyches. We came back here probably to awaken a lot of people, and that's part of being in a physical body, because that's easier to relate to them when we're in a format that's considered something they can relate to. It's kind of like an extraterrestrial type. Sometimes they'll shapeshift into an embodiment that is in resonance with what their observer wants to see. So if you look at it like that, it's very similar.
Yeah, I still speculate that reincarnation is just an illusion.
Yes, state of consciousness.
We've all heard that this is the dream state, mm-hmm. And really, the reincarnation aspect is nothing more than our other selves falling asleep, creating the dream, waking up. In other words, this is the holographic universe. We're waking up, and each time we wake up, go to sleep into the other world, we're creating a dream in turn called reincarnation.
It's very well said. Very well said. But there is purpose behind reincarnation. But you're very right. I mean, everything is a dream within a dream. Everything is a state of consciousness. And once you're evolved and ascended enough to understand that consciousness, then you realize there's a big wave to ride in the universe where the whole ballgame changes in consciousness and how we design ourselves. We can shapeshift into any form and any design, and we can move into any dimension we want to without being in this body. I mean, we have an option. There's always an option.
So we're living a dream within a dream within a dream on multiple levels, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It is a big fabric. It reminds me of a holographic mind. I mean, there's so many levels to it. It's like a holodeck. You can go into so many different realms and be part of that, or you can choose to ascend out and go someplace else. I think, intuitively speaking, there's just way too much drama on this planet right now, but that's part of the cycle and progression of ascension.
Well, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you. I'm waiting for all this to end.
Yeah.
I personally believe it's going to end dramatically because we simply have to live in the physical. You, me, Paul, and everybody else. We're living this here physically, but we also realize the higher reality all this. So.
Okay, we've only got a couple minutes left. Solaris, any information you want to offer up about your DVD, website, anything like that? Sorry to interrupt, Robert.
No, quite all right.
Let's see here. Night Shadow Anomaly Detectives is my website, so if anybody would like to check it out, my work is somewhat advertised on there. I have a DVD that's Eye of the Remote DVD, Disclosure of Covert Technology, which is now live, and that is also available for purchase on my website, Night Shadow Anomaly Detectives. I also have a new book coming out, Programmed by Deception, which will be out in the fall, and that's a series to the Eye of the Remote series I wrote back in 2008.
Well, listen, young lady, we need to have you back on this program because there's like hundreds of questions now we need to ask.
Okay, well, I'd love it.
So I'm going to, Paul will get a hold of you, or I will, and we'll get you booked in for August. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You're an incredible, enlightened, soul-like conscious being. And, maybe, and I'm not saying maybe, it's probably most likely because there are no coincidences, that you had to go through what you had to go through in order to reach this stage in your life.
Totally, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to absolutely thank you. You're an incredible, incredible person, incredible speaker with an incredible mind. Blew me away.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure meeting both of you, and like I said, a very warm spiritual connection. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we do have about a minute left, so don't run away yet. Paul, any final thoughts?
None.
Well,
none. Well, actually, I only had one when she was talking about believing, and that she knows was an analogy of. It reminded me like the belief is an affirmation, and the materialization is the knowledge.
True.
Interesting. Solaris, any final thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
I just want them to keep focusing on their higher selves over souls and stay away from the illusions and the false fabrics and the false realities.
Oh, and God, you're asking a lot, sweetheart.
I know. Shut off your televisions.
I shut it off a long time ago. I shut mine off a long time ago. But Solaris, I want to thank you very, very, very much. And we're going to have you on next month because, my God, your brain is incredible. Your higher conscious brain. Sweet.
Thank you.
You're an incredible young lady, and continue to help waking people up. Paul, as always, thank you, my friend. And everybody, this has Whole Agenda Radio Show. Our very special guest, Miss Solaris BlueRaven. Please go to her website. Visit her website. You'll be astounded. If you think this was something, wait till you see her website and wait till you get a chance to talk to her personally. Everybody, take care of yourselves. It's been the Whole Agenda, and we will see you on Monday. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Bye-bye.
And owners of Resource Consultants, Inc. and Buy Silver Now website have been selling gold and silver and precious metal-related assets since 1996. They have built their reputation on their most valued assets, integrity and honesty. While other precious metal dealers are just out to make a quick buck, Pat and Linda have prided themselves on the relationship they have developed with their customers. In other words, they have met their clients' expectations and much, much more. And that's why their business continues to grow as this economic crisis deepens. If there were ever a time to spare your family from this monetary decline, now's the time to do it. So, save your family's wealth and go to www.buysilvernow.com and call 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. Again, those numbers are 480-820-5877 or 800-494-4149. And protect, save, and grow your wealth in these hard economic times.
Ronnie McMullen here for Life Change Tea. It's officially the new year, and the New Year resolutions should be going into effect. In the order of importance, health should be at the top of the list. We invest in how we look, and we invest in what we drive. And so why not invest in who you are and how you feel? Insecurity can manifest from a poor self-image. Life Change Tea is here to help. Cleanse your body, receive more energy, and start promoting your body to a new you. Physical health promotes mental health. Read the numerous testimonies on our helpful website. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to order? Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. Here it is again, 928-308-0408. There's no waiting. Call now. It's your life. Give yourself something special. Good health. Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
To imagine when things are going reasonably well, just how quickly things can change. But what would it take? Economic collapse? Massive crop failure? Chemical or biological attack? So many situations could find you in the grocery looking to pick up food for your family only to find that the shelves are empty. There's nothing. Don't let that happen. Act today to make sure that if it ever comes